Hello and thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend we walk you through the headlines from this past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
One thing that I love about working here is that I've got to be with the kids for the past 6 years, put books in their hands that they want to read, order books that they want to check out. That's more than one thing, sorry.
For librarian Natasha Januszewski of Holmes Elementary, it's hard to pick just one thing she loves about her job.
I like hanging out with the kids.
But going back to school this year, it's been hard to focus with what she's had to face over the last few weeks.
The fire department was there very quickly, so this one I was like, it's not gonna hit, but the wind and the weather had different plans for us.
The home her family had lived in for the last decade was gone, destroyed by the Old Trails fire. Seeing it for the first time is something she says she'll never forget.
It was heartbreaking. Like our whole life was gone. Like all the momentums that can't be replaced is gone.
Now, as their family sifts through what's left, life keeps moving forward, and that includes going back to school.
I know I have to be here. Is it hard? Yes, it's hard. But I need something consistent. The kids, like I said, are amazing.
Mrs. Januszewski says her coworkers have also been a blessing, including Dean of Students Tim O'Halloran.
I really enjoy supporting teachers, and then that trickles down to supporting the students.
Supporting people through difficult moments is what Mr. O'Halloran does every day.
How else can we help? Do you need anything for the kids? Do you want us to help you set up your classroom?
At Holmes, it's not just Mrs. Januszewski who lost everything.
It was probably the longest night of our life.
Mr. O'Halloran lost his home in the same fire.
We got up super early, and
his wife works at Rogers High School.
She was adamant. She wanted to see it for herself, that confirmation. I feel for my wife mostly. We were there for 11 years, and our kids grew up in that house, and so having to see that just being brought to nothing.
The impact of this fire reaches every corner of our community, but especially at Holmes, where 4 staff members lost their houses.
Emotionally, I feel like I always could hold it together, but this year is just, it's not happening.
I went into education to make a difference. And I love working at schools. Holmes is in a very special place.
After everything they've seen, getting the focus back on work has been a challenge.
I have to trick my brain coming here. I'm like, I have to just focus on work, lesson planning.
Because just like they teach their students, strength isn't about pretending everything's okay. It's about finding a way forward and holding on to hope.
The fact that there's 4 of us in this one building have that common kind of thread that ties us together, I think will bring us closer that way.
Well, back to school season is always fun for students. They get back into their normal routines, they get to see friends they haven't seen for a while, and get to go into those activities they love. But this year for Spokane Public Schools, it's a lot more complex with the impacts of the Old Trails fire, and many families still facing those impacts or being displaced still altogether. We're right here just outside of Indian Trail Elementary, one of the most devastated areas of these fires. We see one home with a sign in the window, Indian Trail Strong, We Stand United. Now, the homeowner here was telling us that as soon as they were able to come back home after those evacuation zones were let down, that they wanted to make sure they showed their support. And this is just one token of appreciation that we've seen across the community leading up to back to school. Now, Spokane Public School officials tell us that around 169 students lost their homes in the Old Trails fire. So as kiddos are getting back to class, there's still a lot behind the scenes parents are managing. And about 8 homes that were within the district that were destroyed, those households have left the district, highlighting the impacts of needing to go where there's support or more temporary housing available. And that doesn't always mean you can stay within those district boundaries. Now, we talked to staff from the Indian Trail Elementary, and they told us today they're going to have extra support among staff today so their students can be best supported and have the best day possible, while ultimately reestablishing normalcy for those kiddos.
Lots of joy in getting to see friends that they maybe haven't seen since the fires, and so that's what I'm hoping for all the kids and the teachers, that it's just good to be together and happiness.
Just so grateful for this whole community. It hasn't just been the admin, it hasn't just been PTO, it hasn't just been a select few people, it's been literally everyone coming together. We were a tight community before the fire, and I think we're even tighter now. So just really glad to be here and be a part of it.
I've seen both ends. I've seen kids want to talk about it, but then they also want to be kids and they go play, and it's almost like they have forgotten for just a glimpse in a moment, and they go and they play on the playground, they hug each other, and then the parents are kind of still talking about what needs to be done. But I think there's both, so we need to give space for both to talk about it and to be normal.
So as kids kick off school today, one other visual impact too, as they're busing in or they're driving or walking in among the Indian Trail neighborhood, many of those homes have been left destroyed. So students are seeing that as they're walking in, excited to get into class. So again, to highlight the heaviness and the complex emotions around this back to school, specifically for Spokane Public Schools. For now, reporting here at Indian Trail Elementary, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Joy Wood can't come home to the house behind me, so now she's staying with people on the South Hill. But she tells me that a note left on her daughter's car earlier this week is reminding her how quickly those who are displaced become invisible. From the front, Joy Wood's house is still standing, but walk around it and the story changes.
We have damage to all 4 sides of our house. All of the siding needs to be replaced, all of the gutters, the roof, all of the windows, our back deck, the insulation.
Windows blown out, an air conditioner melted.
We're looking at either down to the studs or a tear down.
While they wait for answers from insurance and experts, Wood and her family are living in a friend's guest house on Spokane South Hill. A bedroom, a bathroom, a living room, no kitchen.
So we're getting really good at snacks and finding all of our favorite places to eat out, although we're tired of eating out.
And this week, another reminder that they're not home. Someone left this note on her daughter's car, asking the family to keep cars off the street and park in a driveway or garage.
We would love to park our cars in our garage.
Wood is quick to say she doesn't think the note was malicious. The person who left it just didn't know.
It feels like a completely different world up here on the South Hill.
So Wood went knocking on doors, trying to explain to neighbors why her family is there.
I just want the neighbors in any neighborhood to realize that they may have a fire victim in their neighborhood and to reach out to them.
For Wood, there are still more questions than answers. She doesn't know yet what will happen to the house or whether her family will come back to it.
I love my neighborhood. I love it. But also there's so much changing all the time within the city, the county, our lives. I don't know. Just one day at a time.
But she does know what she hopes people take away from her story.
Just be kind, for you know nothing what anybody else is going through.
Joy tells me that she and her family won't be able to move into more permanent housing until at least mid-September, but her message is clear. Be kind to your neighbors because you don't always know what they're going through. In Spokane County, Emily Foxmillion, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. It's been a busy week across the Inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
Spokane's home.
After seeing what the Spokane complex fires left behind, Walt wanted to do something that could help families right now.
We wanted to make a significant difference, and so hopefully that will. It's not going to rebuild anybody's house by any means, but we're not trying to do that.
Instead, Worthy is providing $10,000 grants to eligible households whose primary residence was destroyed or deemed a total loss.
We're hoping that $10,000 is going to be enough money to make a difference for some of these families.
And how they use it is up to them.
Whatever the family sees as their greatest need.
Innovia Foundation is helping facilitate the gift, working with the Spokane Region Long-Term Recovery Group to get the money to families. Homeowners and renters can qualify as long as the home was their primary residence. About 699 homes fall into that category. But this gift is also about the woman whose name it carries.
She'd probably be flabbergasted.
Karen Worthy, Walt's late wife, taught first grade at Balboa Elementary for 20 years. That's where Walt announced the fund today. And for Sherry Healy, a current teacher at Balboa, Karen was more than a former teacher here. She was her first grade teacher.
Learning from her, you knew school was going to be okay and school was great.
Now, decades later, a gift in her name will help families in the same community she served.
So now to be able to come back and help out in this way is really gratifying.
The application is online at KarenWorthyWildfireGrant.com, and families have until October 19th to apply. Applications are being reviewed as they come in, with the goal of getting all the money out by November 1st. In Spokane, Emily Fox-Millian, KREM 2 News.
As Spokane Valley continues to grow, so does the need for places people can afford to call home. That's why after a year of development, Orchard Vista had their grand opening today, giving hundreds of families the opportunity to set down roots here in the area. A new opportunity built specifically for those looking for something that can sometimes feel out of reach. An affordable place to live.
I would expect that it'll be fully leased by the end of the year.
Pam Parr, the executive director for Spokane Housing Authority, says even before today's grand opening, the demand was already clear. She says nearly 50 units here at this complex have already been leased.
We know that housing is the foundation on which every other part of a family's life is built, and having that stability in order to thrive is super important. So being able to provide 240 units to help provide that stability is incredible for us.
Stability for families facing constant insecurity.
So I live right over here in one of their newest buildings that they just opened up in C.
Like Rochelle Miller and her 4 children.
I came homeless over the summer.
Miller says after months of living in a local shelter, she applied to close to 10 places before getting the keys to her new apartment not even 24 hours ago.
It was hurting me a lot. I don't think I don't want anyone else to have to experience something like that.
A search made unexpectedly more complicated following the aftermath of the Spokane complex fires. Not just because more people were now looking for similar housing, but because previous housing options she applied for were now burnt to the ground, leaving her family living at the shelter longer.
I feel like I failed them in a way by not having a place for us to stay.
SHA says to qualify for a lease at Orchard Vista, potential tenants need to make 60% or less than the area median income, which depends on how many people live in your house. Now, with keys in hand and a new roof over their head, Miller says she's grateful her family was able to find a place before school started.
Finding this place has been kind of a saving grace.
SHA says eventually they want to house families displaced by the Spokane complex fires, regardless of if they meet that income requirement or not. But they can only do so once the president signs that disaster declaration for the state. In Spokane Valley, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
Well, the most important thing Senator Murray says she took away from speaking to those impacted and those who treat those impacted is that these conversations are eye-opening to see that need currently as folks are dealing with those next steps after these fires. Now, the visit comes as communities across the region continue to deal with the aftermath of these fires, including evacuations, property damage, and the challenge of recovery. Staff with Chaz Health at the Chaz Learning Institute managed to talk with her about folks losing in personal items like medications and important documents like birth certificates and passports, as well as talking with a staff member of Chaz Health who did lose his own home in the fires. Senator Murray says work is being efforted, but the process to make sure everyone gets what they need will take time.
This is a long process, and we have to be in it for a long term. Congress is going to have to provide emergency appropriations for a number of FEMA-related disasters in the country. We want to make sure Spokane is part of that.
She also heard Chaz staff talk about families with children overwhelmed in the process of finding permanent housing, as well as those dealing with insurance headaches. Now, Senator Murray says she's going to be taking that information back with her to Washington, D.C. as folks look at those next steps when it comes to recovery. In Spokane, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Either get a new temporary levy passed or potentially have to let go of close to 1/3 of their fire personnel. That's the reality that Northern Lakes Fire District is having to face right now. When an emergency call comes in, there's no time to think about budgets or balance sheets. There's only time to respond. But for the people answering those calls, the cost of being ready is going up. Northern Lakes Fire District is asking voters for another temporary levy, this time worth $4.5 million over 2 years.
We're pretty far stretched, and for us, we can't afford to lose anybody.
Kevin Crawford, the fire chief for Northern Lakes Fire District, says the money would go to helping keep the 21 fire personnel the district was able to hire with its last temporary levy. Chief Crawford says the main reason for the $1 million increase is due to the inflation of safety gear.
Our message is we're asking for what we need. We're not asking for anything extra.
The district says for property owners, the difference between what they're already paying and the proposed levy would be about $6.90. These crews respond to emergencies from Hayden to Rathdrum and everything in between. Chief Crawford says if this new levy does not pass, it will directly affect those who need help in the future.
We would have to go back to probably two-man stations, what we were at in 2018, 2019. And that would be devastating with the growth here.
Northern Lakes Fire District has a calculator on its website so you can see how the potential increase would affect you personally. The temporary levy is expected to be on the ballot come November 3rd. In Hayden, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week.
So we are at the downtown Frank Steiner today because the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is here to help with a very important cause. This morning at 8 to 10, they are raising money to support Second Harvest, and those proceeds are going to go back to Second Harvest to then support the Spokane area fire victims, as Spokane has dealt with a lot these last few months. But we want to bring some fun to Spokane too, which is why we have the Oscar Mayer team here. We have Lucky Dog Lauren inside. She's going to wave and play the jingle really fast. That was amazing. We're going to do a quick little tour around this so everyone can see. Now, if you're like, oh, I can't go this morning, don't worry. They're going to be at the Onion on Division from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. tonight. They want everyone to bring kiddos after school. It's going to be super fun. Look at this thing. Amazing. Okay, so this team has been traveling all around the west part of the country this summer. They do a whole year where they get to drive around. There's 6 of these, so it's a very competitive program. Only 12 people get chosen each year to drive the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. We're gonna come around to the back here a little bit more. I got this awesome card, and I have some dimensions here, some hot dog dimensions. The height is 24 hot dogs high, the length is 16 hot dogs long, and the width is 18 hot dogs wide. That is amazing. And the weight, 140,500 hot dogs. Don't tell me how they figured out those hot dog dimensions, but they did. Okay, so you have the chance today to come support a very important cause, either here at Frank Steiner or at the Onion later this afternoon on Division, and you can come get your photo ops just like this. Come get a whistle and also have some really good food to support some of your Spokane local favorites and to support a great cause. Now, if you don't know, the former owner of Frank Steiner and the Onion, Larry Brown, he recently passed away in the last couple of months earlier this year, and Second Harvest was super important to him, and he was super important to the community. So the team here felt very, very encouraged to go support Spokane where they could, especially with today's fundraiser. So come out, have some fun, get some photo ops, and let's support our Spokane area fire victims while enjoying some Oscar Mayer too. All right, we're having so much fun here at the downtown Frank Steiner. Back to the studio.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on the KREM 2 app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to watch for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.